Welcome to another hemp episode of HempAware Radio, where we dive deep into the world of hemp and bring you insights from the industry's leading experts. I'm your host, Tyler Hemp, and today we have a very special guest, Corey Hughes, the driving force behind Pass It Forward, a remarkable organization dedicated to making a positive impact through hemp. Pass It Forward is not just any organization. It's a movement aimed at transforming lives and communities by leveraging the incredible potential that hemp has, particularly as a building material. And Corey Hughes and his team are committed to educating, empowering, and enabling individuals to use hemp as a tool for sustainable development, health, and well-being. And their mission is to create a better future for spreading knowledge and access to hemp's myriad benefits. And in today's hemp episode, Corey will share his inspiring journey of Pass It Forward and discuss the challenges and opportunities in the hemp industry, especially as it relates to building with hemp, and offer some valuable insights for anyone looking to make a difference with this incredible plant. So get ready to be inspired and informed as we explore the transformative power of hemp with Corey Hughes. Stay tuned and let's dive into this fascinating conversation. But remember, this hemp episode is brought to you by HempAware.com, your go-to source for hemp marketing and branding education and services. So if you need any help with your content creation, marketing strategy, sales funnels, web design, or anything related to growing your hemp business, check out HempAware.com. So let's get started. Thank you so much for being on the show with me today, Corey.
Thank you for having me, Tyler.
Right on. So maybe just to share a little bit of your background and kind of work experience, life experience, and what ultimately led you to start working with hemp and hemp as a building material in particular.
My background. Well, I have a background in cannabis. When cannabis came on board in LA, I was involved with teaching, educating. We went around educating people on the different ways they could be involved in the industry legally without getting in trouble, because it was still a bunch of gray areas at the time and the states hadn't made it legal. And from the cannabis experience, we were going to a lot of seminars and talks and meetups. As time went on, it started to bridge the gap between cannabis and hemp. And the meetups were in a lot of the same places where some of the first presenters would discuss hemp and this alternative means, and then cannabis people would come up and have their talks. So one day we went early, because the hemp people always went first, because at the time no one was really interested in hemp. So we went early and we heard people giving presentations on hemp as a building material. For whatever reason, it really caught my ear. And I listened, and then I went home and did a bunch of research. And we had already formed the nonprofit Pass It Forward. The original reason we formed the nonprofit Pass It Forward was to give people in the cannabis industry a way to utilize their taxes where it would benefit the community directly, instead of giving their community benefit tax money directly to Boys Club or somewhere where it might not get seen visibly in the community. The results might not be seen, visibly. So that was kind of the start of how we formed Pass It Forward. After I received the information and did my research, I kind of wanted to transform Pass It Forward into a workforce development, because I have a lot of friends in the union and with construction jobs, and they kind of tell me how these things play out, how first, the information is flooded throughout the community, and then you see a couple of pop-ups and workshops, and then that turns into workforce development and eventually to real jobs in the industry. So we were kind of follow that path.
Interesting. So it started out as cannabis, more on the flower side of things, the cannabinoids and education around that topic. And so you were saying, as you went to these different meetups and talks and seminars, you were like hearing these other people talk about the hemp side of things and how it could be this incredible building material. And that kind of perked your ears. I'm curious, did you have any previous experience with any aspect of construction or carpentry or building that you were like, I kind of want to get more into that? Or was that a new venture for you altogether?
Well, when I was younger, I used to flip houses a lot. I made
Hmm.
some of my first money flipping houses. So I kind of knew all the things that went into construction, and I knew how big a deal insulation was on the projects that I did. Insulation was the majority of the project. Like we were just buying
Hmm.
tons and tons of pink insulation, more than any other building material on scene. It was the lumber and the insulation.
Wow. Right. So
So
you saw the need for such a material as hempcrete. You're like, this is a big problem that people are dealing with. It's a major aspect of fixing and flipping homes, and so you saw a gap in the market. That's pretty cool.
and then on top of that, I seen like it will hemp. I looked at it. I didn't really look at it like everybody else did, romanticizing the plant, like, ooh, can you smoke it and all that. I looked at it as a straight commodity. That's the first thing came to my mind was this is a commodity. And if they're doing waste materials, hemp is just a tipping point. What other waste materials can they? And that kind of opened me up towards the whole sustainable building materials. Just wow, hemp is just one of the many different sustainable building materials that's out there. But if I know all about hemp, it'll kind of open the door to these other building materials and other people that's working in the industries that I could meet to broaden it. I kind of left it out when we were in cannabis. Well, one of us still is in cannabis, but when we were in cannabis, one of the major things that I kept running across was the barrier to entry. So one of the big things we did in cannabis was compliance. We made sure everybody's paperwork was right. You could get in. Like I said, it was education to make you compliant enough to be involved in the cannabis game. So after that, I noticed it was a large community of black and brown people being excluded from these opportunities because of prior criminal history or whatever. They might have gotten in trouble fighting in school or something, and that made them ineligible or whatever it was. They couldn't participate. So when I found out about hemp being a building material, it really, really made me happy that I have a way to include all these people in the same industry with all these new jobs and new opportunities that they couldn't get in because they're all, seeing a big boom with cannabis and really sad that they can't be involved. And all these new cannabis dispensaries and grows and all this, they're setting up shop in the poor neighborhoods because it's cheap rent, but the poor people cannot be involved. So this was a
Hmm.
direct way where no one can block you from being involved with this. You can buy as much hemp as you want. You can build as many bricks as whatever you want. It's open. The lane is open in this industry. So that's kind of why I really ran towards the industry. It was in my mind that right there, being able to help that many people like that, it just made it bigger. Cannabis is help also. You help sick and ailing people, but in California, it's more recreational than anything.
Hmm.
I would rather help somebody get hired than get high.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a powerful shift in your ability, starting out with helping them with compliance and getting people into the cannabis industry, making sure that they can do it legally. But then, like you said, because of whatever history or background that somebody might have, especially in the black community, or people that maybe have a history of some sort of record that would prevent them from getting into cannabis, but they really want to be a part of this movement. Shifting it over to the building side and the industrial hemp stuff allowed you to lower that barrier of entry, which is really exciting because there's so much potential in terms of labor and job opportunities, and really giving people a chance to do something meaningful that they care about and make a living doing it. So I love what you guys are doing and want to talk a little bit more about your organization. But before we do, I'd love to just cover some of these important aspects of hemp as a building material that maybe you teach or share with people that go through your program. Like, what is some of the major benefits and features of hemp as a building material as it compares to typical insulation or other building materials that it replaces?
Well, of course, I celebrate the usual suspects of it being all natural, pest proof, fireproof, and the latest topic of discussion in California, at least. I talk about air quality a lot. that seemed to be a buzzword to open a lot of doors for our industry to get us in places where we wouldn't normally be. Air quality. In LA, in LA, we have buildings, tons of buildings over 60 years old. And it's coming down the pipe that these buildings are going to have to be rehabbed. So the main thing you rehab on a building would be the insulation. And a lot of them don't have it at all. And then some of them have the nasty pink insulation that's way past due. So if they were to re-outfit their buildings with hemp that would sequester so much carbon, it would kind of offset the negative carbon that's put into the air from, what's already going on. So air quality, that's been my buzzword for all year, actually. I've been talking to everybody about air quality and how they can mitigate carbon in their areas. I want to really get into the carbon credit aspect of it and talking to people about carbon credits. But as I do my research, and I hope a lot of people hear this, as I do my research, the carbon credits in the hemp industry are the farmers because of, what they're doing with the soil and the plant and, rotational crops. And I'm not really seeing that much working room for people in the building industry when it comes to sequestering carbon in the hemp industry.
So you're saying the farmers are the ones that could start really benefiting from the carbon credit opportunity, not so much the builders?
Yes, and if the farmers, were on board and we were kind of all moving as one, I kind of mess with a couple other industries also that deal with carbon credits. And what we do in the other industries is we use that carbon credit that we get to offset the price to include more people into what we're doing. So if the farmers would use the carbon credits to offset the price of the actual hemp to bring it down, then the industry would almost double overnight. Because it was, because a lot of the cost, it's only a few places that grow hemp. It's in Texas and Kansas. I heard it was somewhere on the East Coast, North Carolina, I think South Dakota maybe. But the problem with people like me isn't really growing on the West Coast. So it's not the hemp. They could say, hey, I'll give you the hemp for a penny. It's the shipping. It's the logistics.
Yeah.
So as gas prices go up, hemp prices don't go down, but it makes it so it localizes it more. It makes it so only people in the surrounding states where it's being grown and decorticated can truly be a part of it in a major way. But people like us on the West Coast, we train with it, but if we was to get it in abundance, we would have to pick up Kern County again or one of these larger growing places where they were growing hemp. They were growing hemp in Kern County, a lot of hemp. I think that was the biggest place they were growing hemp in California, but they were going for CBD. And a lot of farmers got burnt on the CBD thing. Right. I guess investors just didn't do what they said they were going to do. So it's kind of challenging coming back to these same farmers and telling them, no, you should be growing for fiber.
Yeah, make possibly less money growing for fiber. But so it sounds like, because that's one of the barriers of entry as far as farmer getting into this industry is they might only be able to make $800 an acre if they're going for fiber. But you're saying not only can they make some money on the hemp, but if they're a part of a carbon credit program, that they would be able to increase their margins and start making more money growing hemp, right?
Correct. And then they wouldn't, and then, it would make up for that. Well, I don't want to grow CBD. I don't want to grow fiber because I won't get all the money. Like you said, I want to grow CBD. That's where the money is. But if you go it this other way, you can get money off the fiber from your investor or whatever, but then you get that guaranteed money from the carbon credit people. So it kind of cuts down the risk and it puts you probably in the same place or just a little better position than if you would have grew CBD.
Interesting. Yeah, that's something I need to educate myself on a little bit more too, so we can spread the good word. That's sounds like an awesome opportunity. And I know there's other developments in the works, like decortication machines that could potentially allow the farmer to increase their margins by decorticating right on site and then selling the separated hurd and bast fiber, not just the whole raw stalks. But that's a topic for another day. And to get into, actually, to take a step back, you had mentioned that this material hempcrete is pest proof, it's fireproof, obviously it's all natural, so there's no toxic compounds or glues and VOCs and formaldehyde. And lead and some of the other crazy compounds that are used in current building materials. But one thing you brought up was air quality. And I've been in a couple hemp houses myself over the years. And I definitely notice when you're in the house, like it just has this overall vibe, like the overall air quality definitely seems different than a typical house. Do you know kind of the science behind that, or what's happening in terms of the air quality in a hempcrete home? Like, why does that happen?
Well, the hemp is a breathable material. So, like you would have drywall, the air in the room is just recirculating the same stale air over and over, and you get sick. And they say, "Oh, stay in the house and rebreathe the same air over and over." Well, the hemp, it's like actually breathing. So, I wouldn't say it's like a breeze coming in from outside. You're getting fresh air, but the air inside of the room is being recycled through the hemp. So it's not like you're breathing the same stale air over and over. You're breathing like a fresh version of the same
Mhm.
air.
So it's like a natural filter that it's a permeable barrier so that, and it sounds like it would almost act as like a,
Uh,
yeah,
like if you had
scrub or
carbon, the air
Mhm.
scrubbers, yeah,
Right.
and it would purify the air.
That's cool. So to get into, so obviously you have Pass It Forward, which is an educational platform where you guys do events. You're helping educate the youth and other individuals that want to get into the hemp building industry. But one of the big things that you are doing is offering the Fifth Element binder in collaboration with HempAware, Sergey Kovalenkoff, and you guys are doing some really amazing things with this product. Can you talk a little bit about what makes the Fifth Element binder that you guys use and distribute? You know, what makes it unique and different from other like lime-based binders that could be used in hempcrete?
I could try. Well, yeah, we're the U.S. manufacturer for Fifth Element, and Fifth Element is unique because it doesn't have like tons of material. It doesn't have tons of ingredients in it to make it. It isn't like, I've been reading a lot of other people's binders and they say it's all natural, but then they name like 10 ingredients, volcanic fly ash and type S.5 lime and other stuff. Fifth Element is like all natural product. It has two ingredients. I can't say what they are. It only has two ingredients in it, and it's mined in the U.S. You don't have to pay for shipping from another country like some of the other binders. Not saying that nothing's wrong with that, but costs really matter when you get into a building setting.
Absolutely. So what does Fifth Element mean? Do you know kind of the history behind that branding or the name of the product?
Well, you know how the four elements: water, air, fire, and what's the fourth one? Water, air, fire.
Earth.
Come on, earth. There you go. And fifth element would be the fifth element. So said Sir.
Ah.
Tells me the story. Every time he tells me the story, it changes stuff.
Right.
Yeah. That
That's
was the
great.
first version of that right there.
All right, that makes
And
sense. Okay.
he did the same thing to me. He was like, and the fourth is, and then I have to say earth because yeah, and the fifth element.
Nice. Right. Okay. Cool. So to get into this workforce development program that you're running with Pass It Forward, tell us a little bit about what that looks like. If somebody was to get a hold of you, go to your website, which is PIF, like Pass It Forward, California.org, what would they find? How could they get involved? And what would they experience at one of your events?
Well, in the beginning, we used to do workshops. So when we did workshops, we did them at all of the community colleges in Los Angeles, and we really catered towards their architectural courses and any kind of labor or building or electrical, anything that ran ran with the hemp. Like when you putting it in the house, we had electrical students because they were really curious about, well, how do you run electricity through that? And then we had plumbing students, same thing.
Mm.
So it was fun for a while doing the workshops at the community colleges. When we were doing the workshops, it was kind of like it was open to the public, but of course, the majority of the students bought up the tickets first. And we had people come out and teach, like we had Greg Favell. He was like one of our
Mm-hmm.
first instructors that we had come out. And then who else did we have? We had Greg Fabell. We had, what is his name? What is his name? Paul Richardson. He has
Mm-hmm.
what's the name of his organization?
Paul
Hemp.
Richardson.
Yeah, it's Hemp. He calls himself River now too, I think.
Is
And
it
they're
the
building.
Haven?
Yes, Haven Earth. That's
Haven?
Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had him come out and do a class. We had Tony Landry, which was his partner. I think his is Haven Grown. He's from South
Mm-hmm.
Africa. We flew him
Mm-hmm.
in from South Africa, and then we had him teach a course. And then so we started off like that, just going around educating and doing workshops in community colleges. Then, through one of our workshops, some people from the union came and participated. And they were so impressed. They were like, hey, you guys should do this for real. You guys should do this for the union. And we were like kind of bewildered, like, for real? They was like, yes, this is actually coming down the pipe. All this green sustainable and green tech and green construction, that's going to be mandated. You're going to have no choice. We want to get a jump on it. He was like, okay. So we went to Ventura County. We hooked up with Liona Local 585 Labor Union, and they wanted us to create a class with them where we would train anywhere from 15 to 25 students at a time, and we would train them in green sustainable building. And one of the major topics that overshadowed the course was hemp and hempcrete, how to work with it, how to shop for it, everything about it if you're going to be involved in the business.
Mm-hmm.
So when we started doing those courses, the students that graduated from the courses, we also hooked up with Goodwill and Harbor Freight. So it was a
Hmm.
collaboration between Liona Local 585, Goodwill, Harbor Freight, and the Police Activities League. We created a work cohort called YARA, YARA, Youth Awareness Readiness Acceleration Program. And through YARA, we train these students, and when they come out of our course, they get boots, gloves, like all the equipment they would need to go into the union, and they also get an apprenticeship spot in the union. So they kind of get a job after they graduate from us. So once we started doing that, the first year, we just kind of did it to see how it goes. And then after it was successful, we did a contract with them. We did like a 5-year contract where we would keep doing this program over and over, for the next 5 years. And right now we're up to 2 programs every quarter.
That's
So
awesome.
every quarter we get our next program is starting up again this summer, and it's going to be in Ventura County again, but we're going to spread it to Fillmore. That's the new city. No, I'm sorry, Santa Paula. We're going to spread it to
Mm-hmm.
Santa Paula. That's the new city we're going after. And I think it's great because the students that we come across, some of them are at-risk youth. Some of them are just, looking for some type of option, something to do with their life. But so far, like since the program started, we had 65 graduates.
Wow. That's incredible. I'm curious if this is something that could be replicated in another location because just before COVID hit, I was collaborating with the College of Weed, which is in Weed, California, called College of the Siskiyous. And they basically had myself and a couple other individuals organize a curriculum around hemp building, and it actually ended up getting canceled just because the whole situation with the world, and then we weren't really able to pick it back up. But I'm thinking maybe I could reach out to them and introduce them to this program if it's something you think that maybe could be replicated up here.
I really do, only because we had thought about a couple of times. We have spoke to people down south, we spoke to people in the Midwest, and when people hear about it, everybody's excited and we want to do it over here. We were like, sure, let's get it done. But I don't think, I don't know, but it doesn't seem like people in other places have the infrastructure that we have in California as far as with the unions and the city, like how everybody kind of works together. When I was talking
Mm-hmm.
to people out of state, they were kind of lost. Like, well, who do I talk to? And I'm trying to tell them, I'm like, well, we'll fly down there and, we'll kind of hold your hand and, well, I don't know, and all this stuff. But in California, like I said, since it's already set up, that's as easy as us just contacting the labor unions up by Weed and Shasta and, kind of informing them of how we run the program. And all these labor unions, they're starving for recruits because the baby boomers are going out. So the new recruits are coming in, and green technology is the new buzzword. So they want recruits who can learn or know green technology. It would be perfect.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely follow up on that. And to kind of dive a little deeper into one thing that you shared, which is that these workshops were catered to architects, electricians, plumbers, and they would have questions that come up like, how do you integrate electrical wiring into a hempcrete home, or how do you integrate plumbing and all that? Could you maybe just spend like 30 to 60 seconds and give us sort of a visualization, like how does that work? What does, running the electrical and plumbing look like in a hempcrete house, and is it much different?
I'll give you two. Well, yeah, I'll give you two examples quickly. Which one, electrical or plumbing, or both?
I'd say electrical.
Okay, let's say electrical. You know how you have to run the conduit basically all through the house. So prior to putting the hempcrete or any insulation, naturally you will put the plumbing and the electrical through the house. So you put it through the house, and if you, let's say, you do cast in place, that's one way that you can put the hemp in. If you do cast in place, it's basically you're building the wall as you go. You're starting from scratch. You're starting with a mix of hemp, water, and your binder, and you're kind of tamping it out. You have shutter boards, so you can frame it. So you can frame the wall, and you're building as you go. So when you get to the electrical and plumbing, you actually just kind of keep going. You just pack it in. Some people I know, they like to mark where the electrical and plumbing lines is. Like, it's easy. You could just kind of like write on the hempcrete with a marker or whatever. But they trying to like make it special. So if you ever want to cut back into the wall to mess with the plumbing or electrical, you know exactly where to go, and you're not just digging around in the hempcrete wall. The second way, and what's became my favorite way, would be prefab. I say prefab, and here, let me say like this. If you're going to have a raw hemp structure, the cast in place does look more pleasing to the eye than the prefab. But in the inner cities where I live at, you'll never get away with doing the cast in place because it takes over 2 weeks to dry. People can't be out of their home and misplaced for that long. You have to do something where they can get in and out within 2 or 3 days. That's where the prefab falls in. We're going to start training with prefab this year, actually. We've hooked up with a company, and they have some prefab building materials, and they wanted us to test them out on our students. And I'm for it. Let's work together. So with the prefab, you would already see the plumbing and the electrical, and you would need a router saw to kind of cut a half a circle into your block to make up for that space that the plumbing or the electrical is going to take up. And that's what you would do. You would just keep using your router saw everywhere that you've seen the plumbing, everywhere you've seen electrical, so the block would slip into place perfectly without it bulging or pushing on the electrical or the plumbing. It's a video on our Instagram, on Pass It Forward's Instagram, where we're rehabbing a mansion, the Beckett Mansion in Los Angeles. And you can see our workers cutting blocks, like specifically to go around plumbing or to like go into a groove or something.
Right. Interesting. Okay. So you just kind of plan ahead, and either if you're doing the cast in place method, just kind of tam and push the hempcrete up against the conduit or the piping in the wall, and then it kind of, like you said, mark it off just so you know in case you have to get into the wall at a future time. Or you do these sort of prefab walls and just cut the hole right into the prefabricated wall. Now, so the prefabricated stuff, is that kind of all built in a warehouse or a facility somewhere and then just shipped on a truck and like kind of pieced together? Or what does the construction look like of the prefab?
The prefab, they already come done in blocks. We were working on some prefab once upon a time, but it's a lot of barriers to entry when you want to get buildings put on the LAR list here to be as accepted building materials, because you can't just, a lot of people are under the illusion that, like, I'm in LA, so let's just say it's a house in Beverly Hills. Say it's a house in Beverly Hills. Somebody heard this interview and was like, oh, that sounds so fantastic. I want my back house to be redone in hempcrete. Okay. The problem is permitting. The people who does the permitting, they're really green when it comes to hempcrete, and you have to educate them. And then the word throws them off. Hempcrete, is it concrete? What kind of crete is it? I don't understand. And you try to tell them, no, it's only insulation. And the problem is kind of gift and the curse. The gift is people have romanticized hemp to the point where it's becoming mainstream and everyone wants to know about it. Everyone wants to learn. The curse is it's called hempcrete. So from romanticizing it, you've made it more than what it is. So when you present it to building inspectors, it's like you're in a rabbit hole. It's like you can't explain it simply to them because everyone else has romanticized it so much. They think it has to be more than that. And you have to tell them, no, this is simply fiber insulation. And then they go back and then it's just so hard to get it permitted in an urban setting or in somewhere that's very public. I've seen a lot of permits like in rural areas or like somewhere way off the chart, but here in the inner city where construction is popping every single day, you'd have to come with prefab, you'd have to come with a product that's already certified, and it has to be registered somehow in our building and materials list for green building materials in California.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of people think like, oh, just throw it in. No, you won't.
Because you're saying there's a misconception with the word crete in the title that they're thinking, oh, this is a replacement for concrete, so I'm going to do foundations and I'm going to do concrete walls, and you're like, no, this is not a weight bearing material. You can't have nearly the amount of load of weight as you can with concrete, so you've got to really come to them with re-education because of the misconceptions. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and then like you said, that word crete, that's the main thing. That in their mind, as soon as they hear the word crete, they think structural. So now you're arguing and going back and forth with them, trying to tell them, I'm not messing with the structure. That's not my area. My area is only insulation. And they, well, yeah, but is it load bearing at all? And it's kind of tough.
So yeah, which kind of segues into my next question about some of the biggest hurdles that we still have to overcome as it relates to hemp as a building material, being widely accepted. Other than kind of what we just covered with the misconceptions or miseducation, what else do you feel are some of the bigger hurdles that we still have to overcome with integrating hemp as a building material?
I kind of think, personally, some of the organizations or the organizing behind it is hurting the industry. I think if we stopped trying to make secret hemp clubs or members only hemp clubs and we said, hey, let's not make a club. Let's get with whatever government entity that would be authorizing us to use this and make something with them in mind, make something with them included. I think it'd go a lot further. Or like even out here, the Sierra Club in Ventura. If you made something with the Sierra Club included, they have so many segues to fresh air quality building materials and things of that nature. I think it would go a lot faster, but a lot of the building officials and contractors and things that I talk like hemp is a secret club. Like if you tell us, we might listen, but we're not in that club. So I don't know. Somehow it became kind of like a cult thing instead of public, like it was supposed to be.
Interesting. Okay, so just having a framework or a more publicly focused approach, not having these private paid clubs that you have to be a member of to get the education. You're saying have a much more publicly facing level of education for governments and maybe schools, or just a way to get this information out there more readily than without
like,
having to pay for it.
Yeah, like when we were working with hemp farmers when the CBD thing, I almost said CBD crisis. When the CBD the CBD thing was going around in Ventura County, we were there also at all the city town hall meetings, everything, because that's where we were doing training. We were thinking this would be awesome. It could cut down a lot of costs of us getting the building material for training. So we were in Ventura County, but our approach was we went to the Agricultural Commission and we told them exactly what we was doing. We wanted them to be involved with us and help us, and they did. They threw town hall meetings alongside of us. They let us put our information in their offices to help people learn about it, but it wasn't a separation. You know what I'm saying? It was like
Mm-hmm.
a more inclusive thing where the community needed to know if we're going to move on this, everybody needs to move together. Not you have to go to the special people, and if they don't say that you're cool, then no one wants to mess with your hemp. Like no, it should be more like public construction.
Mm-hmm. Totally. That makes sense. And if if somebody wants to get involved in this and be more a part of the educational side of things, I mean, obviously they can go to passitforward.org with the hyphens between each word, pass it forward, or piscalifornia.org. Do you guys have kind of like educational materials that you could provide for people that maybe want to go to local city councils or government officials, building organizations to share some of this information with?
We don't have it out publicly, but I'm such a nice guy. If they were to inbox me, I don't have a problem helping people or guiding them in the right direction or telling them where they got to go. Actually, there's a group. I'm going to bring them up. There's a group called the Salem Hemp Kings, but they're in Missouri. I don't know. There's a part of Missouri called Salem or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
they have a lot of land and they're very interested in doing what we do here as far as training and rebuilding the community. And they're some of the people that we're actually looking forward to helping. And we want to go out there and get them involved with their local government and show them where they need to go and who they need to talk to so they could duplicate what we do out there. But
Nice.
yeah, if people were to contact me and they had a plan or some type of infrastructure, not just loose questions, I don't have a problem helping people at all.
Cool. So yeah, I just encourage everyone listening to go to pifcalifornia.org, reach out to Corey and do what you can to help spread this word, get the information out there. Where else can our listeners learn more about your organization, Pass It Forward, and follow you on the socials? And what's the best way to kind of get involved with your organization?
If you go to Pitt, California on Instagram, we have tons and tons of material and videos and different things we've done. Like it's a video on there of a fire block that we burnt, like a prefabricated fire block we burnt with the Fillmore Fire Department, Chief Garola. He's a hero of mine. But yeah, we worked with them for about a summer. And at the end of the summer, they were nice enough to come out and do a burn test with us and, have their truck in the background and, the video and all for us. So that was pretty cool. I don't know how I got stuck on that one, but yeah, that was
Yes,
pretty cool. That was
definitely.
a cool experience. But that's on the Instagram. A lot of the things that we've done are in the Instagram. You can see a lot of the graduations on there, a lot of the students that graduated. The pictures of them are our work with the Police Activities League and Viuna, Labor Union 585. A lot of that's on there.
Awesome. So it's PIF California is your handle on Instagram?
Yes. Well,
Okay,
actually,
cool. Okay, pass it forward _ California. Is that the main one?
yeah, for Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, as a sort of philosophical last question that I always love to ask my entrepreneurs that I have on the show, like yourself, if you were to be standing in front of a podium and have a message that you could share with the entire world, and let's say you had 30 seconds, what would you want the world to know about hemp or about PIF California? Or if there's just one thing that you could share with everybody, what would you want them to know?
That's a good one. What I want them to know about him. I would want them to know. I would want them to really look into explore hemp as a building material and find out more things, more ways it could be utilized besides insulation. I know if you take it down to a smaller granule, you could do plastics, you could do tons of different things with the material. If they were to look deeper to figure out how we can broaden the workforce and different things to do hemp with, besides the traditional what I'm doing, step one, insulation. The rabbit hole goes way deeper. If they can figure out how to incorporate hemp with cement as a replacement filler, if they could get the micron size down small enough to replace the sand and cement, if it would work out like that. I haven't done an experiment, I don't know. But that's a major carbon emitter in this world. And different things like that. If people could just jump on board and figure out all the different ways hemp can help sequester the carbon to make the world a more breathable place.
I love it. I totally agree, and definitely encourage everyone. Start asking more questions and reach out to your local building code enforcement, your different building organizations, even the local fire departments, and spread the word about this. Show them some of the videos that's on the Pass It Forward Instagram, and just get this good word out. The more people that know about this, the easier it's going to be for us to integrate it into people's homes and create a greener, healthier world. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on the show, Corey, and appreciate everything that you guys are doing.
Thank you, Tyler. And I'll be excited to speak with you in the future about helping to incorporate some curriculums in some of the places you spoke of, like weed.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll definitely pick that up right away. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to another Hemp episode of HempAware Radio. This is your Hemptrepreneurial host, Tyler Hemp, here to empower your hemposphere. Have a blessed day, everyone.